And who's this one from? Oh, it's 2 more here. 3 more here. Tell you what, I'll come back to those, because I will come back to those, including yours, Pagan Amy, in a couple of minutes.
Across northern Lincolnshire and East Yorkshire, this is BBC Radio Humberside.
She's called Pagan Amy. That's her name. So, who was on? Oh, yes, Pagan Amy. Let me find that for you, because I know you're intrigued by what Amy had to say. Amy said, "Morning, Phil. I'm looking forward to a 4-day weekend. No stressful last-minute shopping, no family arguments. But then I started celebrating on the 21st with the solstice sunrise. Joyful winter solstice to all," says Pagan Amy with a kiss on the bottom. Thank you, Amy. And actually, I know there's something. Neil Rudd is on the radio, isn't he, at 9 o'clock this morning with the mid-morning programme. And I think he'll be talking more about pagan Christmas traditions and celebrations during the programme. Stay tuned for that. Hello, Phil. Could you say hello to Pagan Amy from 2 fellow pagans? We got up early on the solstice and saw the lunar eclipse as well, and a gorgeous sunrise. Happy Yuletide. That's Linda and Callie, I think that is. Linda and Callie in East Hull, with a kiss on the bottom for Amy. But, kiss on the bottom of the text for... You know what I mean. You know what I mean. I mean, this is just because this is festive. I don't want to be... shocking anybody. Morning, Phil. Good to hear your cheerful voice this morning. Thank you, Kay, who says, "Thank you for all the wonderful shows. I'm cooking the Christmas ham this snowy morning in Hornsey." I can almost smell it, Kay. That's terrific. Thank you. We got another pagan here. Pagan Tony, I think this is, wishes everybody bright blessings for Yule and the New Year. Fab show as always. Tony, good morning to you and thank you.
Okay, shall we continue with our final... In fact, it's our final day of this week's look at how other communities celebrate the festive season. And today we're going to look at the oldest religion of all, which is paganism. Steve Davis is the district manager of the Pagan Federation in the North East, and he joins me now. Morning to you, Steve. How are you?
Morning, Neil. I'm fine, thanks.
Just... we've all heard of paganism. Just explain it to anybody who's not quite sure. What is paganism?
Well, it's not really a religion as such. It's a series of faiths, and it revolves really around nature and the countryside. It's very old. It goes back thousands of years, and it revolves around the seasons of the year and certain festivals that we celebrate throughout the year.
So it's a celebration. It's a celebration of the things that happen on Earth, such as the summer and winter solstice and the various events.
That's right, and it's the spirit of nature which is behind that at the end of the day, and that's what the worship is connected with that.
What do you worship then? You worshipping those events?
Well, it's the spirit behind nature. It's the actual thing that makes life possible at the end of the day, and that depends upon which part of paganism you follow. But we do recognise both a male and a female element to that, to the spirit behind life itself.
Is belief or non-belief in God, is that relevant to pagans? Do some pagans believe in God and others think not? How does that work?
Well, yes, it does. Yes, I mean, we see it as both sides. We see both the male and the female side to God, if you like. We don't necessarily see it in the way that Christianity does. We have this monotheistic figure, which is all seen to be as male. We see that the female element is just as important within our worship as well.
I believe you became a pagan when you were 19. I imagine, or I wouldn't wish to assume, but I would imagine you possibly grown up in maybe a Christian setting, or maybe had Christian teaching at school. We live in a Christian, but also a multi-faith society. So why did you decide that paganism was for you at that age?
I suppose really it was the fact that I was very interested in nature, and the whole thing about the cycle of the seasons interested me. And I mean, my own personal beliefs revolve around the idea that any religion is valid. I think it depends upon people's own interpretations of God in terms of how they see it. And for me, my experience of God and what I see as the goddess revolves around nature and what I see in nature. And that's what I responded to when I was 19.
It's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day tomorrow, and this Christian festival. the way we celebrate it in these relatively modern times, it appears to have had huge influences from our previous pagan beliefs and existence in this country.
That's right, in fact. Most pagans would recognise the 21st of December as their Christmas, if you like. That's the time of the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year and the shortest day. And the relevance of that for us is that we see it as the return of the sun. The time factor is changing at that time, and from the 21st the sun starts to come back into our lives. So we recognise that, and that's what's important to us. But a lot of the figures that you recognise within Christian beliefs of Christmas are very much part of pagan beliefs. The whole idea about the Christmas tree, that comes from pagan beliefs originally, and also, the figure of Father Christmas is very much a pagan figure and goes back thousands of years, in fact, far beyond the figure of St. Nicholas, which most people associate where Father Christmas came from.
Yuletide, that's got a pagan connection, has it?
Well, Yule, yes. Yule is another way of talking about the winter solstice, is another version. In the actual word Yule comes from an Anglo-Saxon word. It actually means wheel, and we talk about the wheel of the year for us, and that revolves around our 8 festivals. So for us, the wheel is continually turning.
Is it possible to say how the average, I suppose it isn't really, how the average pagan will celebrate Christmas Day, if at all?
Realistically, many pagans would have children, and they would honour that as a day for children, would have presents just the same as everybody else does. But it's less important for us than it would have been the solstice date on the 21st.
The status of paganism in this country, is it where you'd want it to be? Are you happy with the recognition that the state gives it, or do you feel society needs to do more?
Well, the Pagan Federation generally is pushing for more recognition. Recently the Druid Network has been acknowledged as a charity now by the Charity Commission, and that brings various benefits for the organisation in terms of its recognition. So, and at the moment the Pagan Federation is pushing that we actually get that recognition as well. And in fact, we did support the Druid Network in terms of their move towards getting the recognition from the Charity Commission.
All right, Steve, really good to talk to you. Fascinating, because it's something I've heard about, and my knowledge is not as good as it maybe ought to have been. It's fascinating to hear your description of what paganism is about, and I'm not sure whether I should wish you a happy Christmas or not. Is that okay?
That's fine, you can do that.
Is that okay?
Happy Christmas to you as well.
Happy Christmas to you as well. Thank you very much, Steve. Steve Davis joining us to talk about paganism. Steve is part of the Pagan Federation in this country.